Hello, I'm Tracy Friend from Liberating the Heart, and I'm going to talk about how discipline leads to freedom. So, the law of attraction explains that everything that we're living and experiencing is a result of the thoughts that we're thinking consistently. And often our thoughts and beliefs have quite a powerful momentum. And so, in order to change our thoughts and beliefs, there usually has to be a regular practice. And in order to have a regular practice, we usually have to be quite disciplined, at least initially. So sometimes when we think about discipline, we might think it's about an external authority giving us rules that we have to abide by. But what I'm talking about here is an inner discipline where we know certain practices, there might be certain spiritual practices, or it might be certain lifestyle choices, where we know certain things are going to benefit us. And we might know they're going to benefit us, but then we need that discipline to do them regularly. As we start to do certain practices regularly, the interesting thing is that then we start to feel better. Another way of saying that is our vibration starts to rise. And when we're in a higher vibration, then we're naturally drawn to more positive lifestyle choices. Sometimes think about it in terms of if there's a wheel spinning one way, so maybe a way that isn't serving us, and then we want to spin it the other way, it might take quite a lot of force to slow it down in the direction that it's spinning and then to start spinning it in the other direction. But then once it's spinning in the other direction, there's momentum. It won't take that much force to keep it going. I've done quite a few 7 and 10 day meditation retreats. And I remember the first 10-day retreat that I did, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought, oh, I've done a lot of meditation before. This will be a nice kind of relaxing retreat. But the reality was very different. It was 10 hours of meditation a day. It was quite hot, sitting on the floor, unless there was a medical reason. We had to stay sitting on the floor on a cushion. I started to get quite intense pain in my legs, sometimes as well in my back. And then as the 10 days progressed, another part was introduced, which was called Sittings of Strong Determination, where we had to sit for an hour without moving, unless there was a genuine physical need to move. And although this was very difficult, my legs started hurting so much, I felt like I needed to move every 3 seconds, trying to stop myself from doing that. What I noticed was at the end of the hour, I was so clear-minded. It's almost like I developed so much control over my mind, so much ability to stay in the present moment without reacting. And I experienced so much joy, so much peacefulness. And what was interesting was before I'd done that meditation retreat, I'd been in Bali for a few months where the food was amazing, really nice, fresh tropical food, going to really nice meditation and spiritual events. And so that seemed like, for me anyway, like the most idyllic setting to be. And it was wonderful. But I noticed when I was on the meditation retreat that in some respects was very, very difficult and one of the hardest things I'd ever done at that point. The peace that I experienced was far deeper than the peace I experienced where everything was perfect, everything in my surrounding environment was virtually perfect. Something else that I've also found helpful over the years is there might be certain situations where we think, oh, I want to move in a particular direction, I want to make this change, but I can't for whatever reason. In those situations, something that I've worked with for a long time is ask myself, what can I do? Because often there's a million things that we can't do, but thinking about what can we do? And from this idea of as we keep adding positive energy, allowing more and more positive energy to flow out of us in the direction of what we want to cultivate in our lives, what we want to experience, that will build, it will gain momentum, and it will have to be reflected back to us one way or another. So I know when I was starting out with the Law of Attraction Center, there were lots of things that I felt, oh, I can't do that yet. But then I'd ask myself, what can I do? And interestingly, the inspiration would come to me because when we pose a question, particularly if we can do it in a receptive state of allowing, almost a meditative frame of mind, then the broader part of our mind goes to work on bringing the answer to us. So what came to me was, well, I can write articles, I can do work on the website. And this can start to bridge the gap from where we currently are to where we want to be. And although some of the practices can feel challenging to start with, some of these discipline practices that we adopt, as we do them regularly and we feel better and we're drawn to the more high energy lifestyle choices, then we develop more mental resilience, more mental strength, which makes it easier to do the practices. And sometimes we might also extend the practices. As I know when I started meditating, even meditating for around 15 minutes felt like a huge challenge. But I thought, okay, I just thought I'd do what I can. But now, all these years later, about 20 years later, now I could easily meditate for 2 hours in one go and it wouldn't be a problem at all. And it's just through cultivating that. Like when we stick with the practice, it gets easier and easier. And for a lot of people, it can then go on to be a really enjoyable part of their day. And as we shift our thoughts more in the direction of what we want to experience and any qualities that we want to cultivate within ourselves, then we have more and more choices available in our life. And it's choices that wouldn't have been there. If we're on a not good feeling frequency, then the choices that we've got in our life are more limited and they're limited to things that are going to bring us the same feeling. Whereas we start to free ourselves from any patterns that aren't serving us, and we're free to expand more in the direction of who we really are and to create what we want to create in our life. So I hope that's useful. And if you'd like to find out more about the coaching and the events that I offer, they're on my website, liberatingtheheart.com. Thank you for watching.